Okay. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Well, good afternoon, City of Fairburn. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for registering for our HomeSmart Lunch and Learn. Hopefully, the lunch is good, and we're going to learn a lot today. My name is Jacqueline Howell. I'm the Director of Communications. And again, I just want to welcome you to this first of a series that we might do here in the city, just educating our residents on the different aspects of code enforcement, different resources that are available to you as homeowners within our city. And with that, I want to bring up our illustrious mayor, Mayor Hattie Portis Jones, to say a few words.
Thank you, and I too want to welcome all of you. I'm, the mayor of the city, but I'm also a resident and a homeowner, and I have an older home as well. So I'm looking forward to learning what it is that I need to know. Also. And Ms. Howe, first of all, thank you so much, you and Ms. Brookins from Planning and Zoning, for pulling this together. We had initially had a presentation from Habitat for Humanities, and you'll be hearing from them later. And so we wanted to bring them back so we could get the information out to all of you about what they do. And then I just also want to put a plug in. LaDonna, what is the date? Is she still here? Did she? Okay. So I want to put a plug in. It's going to be in September. We'll get the date out, but Habitat will be back again, another component of the organization, and will be with the Georgia Environmental Finance Authority. They have funding to assist with energy efficiency, which includes energy audits. They also assist with HVAC, and hot water heaters, things like that. And also, we'll be able to get appliance upgrades for free, again, because of energy efficiency. So I know a lot of us have older appliances in our home, and the older appliances use a lot more energy. So stay tuned for that. And I just wanted to shout that out. But again, welcome, and I, like you, look forward to the information we're going to receive today. So thank you.
So I did want to take this opportunity before we bring up our first speaker to alert everyone, if you do not already know, about the Fairburn in Focus magazine. This magazine is a labor of love, but it's also chock full of information for our residents about everything that's going on here in the city of Fairburn. And you can receive this magazine digitally by going to our website, which is fairburn.com. And you can also opt in for a print version if you would like on the website as well. But it has all of the meeting dates in here, information about different programs, resources that we have, and all of our citywide events as well. So first up, we are going to have our code enforcement department come and talked about protecting your property and the neighborhood. Mr. Londell, if you would please. Give him a hand as he comes, please. Thank you.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I see a couple of familiar faces in here. Good to see you today. Some folks, I'm putting my glasses on. I think I've been looking for a couple of y'all for a little while. And I'm see if I see you. There we go. Okay. Plus, we have the monitors that we're all going to be looking at today, so I want to make sure I can see the monitor as well. But, again, my name is Londell Fleming. I'm the Code Enforcement Division Manager for the City of Fairburn, and we are really excited about a program that we have community-wide, citywide for the City of Fairburn. I'm going to focus on that program today, but what I'm also going to do is wrap into the program the process of code enforcement, how you can make sure that you're in the know in terms of how we do things, and how you can make sure code enforcement is benefiting you as an individual citizen for the city of Fairburn. Do you all have agendas at all? No agendas? Okay, that's okay. I'm going to tell you what's on the agenda with regarding the MAR part, and then I'm going to sort of back into the actual program I want to share with you today. So we're going to touch bases on property maintenance requirements, common code concerns and violations. We're also going to talk a little bit about how the code enforcement process works, steps homeowners can take once you receive a citation, and honestly, we hope we don't get to that point, how to contact code enforcement for assistance, as well as the Love Thy Neighbor program. So on the screen, what you see in front of you right now is Service in Action. Service in Action is one of 3 programs that fits under the umbrella of Love Thy Neighbor. Love Thy Neighbor originated about a year and a half ago. It's kind of sort of been in the backdrop. And what we found out was that there were a tremendous amount of people here in the city of Fairburn who did not have the means or the wherewithal to solve some of the exterior code violations, right? So instead of actually applying the typical pressure of a notice and citations and so forth, we wanted to come up with something that we thought would help the most vulnerable here in the city of Fairburn while we continue to press the issue in the actual conversation of community. So what you see here is, let me just click the words here. Okay, so the first page here is Service in Action. That's just the title page. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next one here. Here we go. Okay. Here's a little bit about the program. The program Service in Action is a volunteer-led program under the City of Fairburn's Love Thy Neighbor initiative, a proactive, compassionate alternative to traditional code enforcement, which again is the typical notice, first notice, second notice, and so on, and I'll share that with you in a couple of slides. The program connects community volunteers with seniors, veterans, and residents facing hardship to help with minor exterior property maintenance. The goal, and it's always our goal, is voluntary compliance, neighborhood pride, and neighbor helping neighbors. So under the actual words that community volunteers, let me tell you a little bit what we've done over the last year and a half. We've partnered with some of the faith-based community organizations here within the city of Fairburn, and we are continually trying to build that partnership with all the faith-based community organizations here in Fairburn. We currently have 2 that's on board with us. They've already done some work with us in the past, and we're looking and hoping that we have 6 or 7 more organizations here that will come on board that'll help bridge that partnership. I need to bring it down some more. I didn't bring it up? Okay, because I hear some feedback. Okay, we good? Okay. That partnership is what we're continuing trying to build here in the city of Fairburn, because we want to make sure we have enough volunteers on staff to assist with any actual violations that we're trying to resolve week in or week out. So, for example, I've already spoke with them, and they don't mind that we give them sort of a shout out because they have been on board with us from the very beginning. One is First Baptist Church of Fairburn. They have participated in a few actual projects we have around the city. Big kudos to them. We thank you for that. And then another one is called The Bridge. It's a much smaller organization, smaller church here in the city. But they have participated with us as well with resolving some of the code violations here in the city. And we have, again, we have reached out to about 10 churches here in the city of Fairburn. We've gotten some feedback. We've either made contact by phone or by email. They have expressed some interest. And probably about the first of next week, I'm actually excited to hear back from a few of them that wanted to talk with the pastor or the executive team of the church to make sure that they understood what the program is about. And we're really, really looking forward to that actually being a success and being in place for the city of Fairburn. So what volunteers do. So I'm going to talk about right now what volunteers do. So if you actually want to be a part of the community partners on the individual side of it, there's something that you can do as well. I want to make sure that you see that and understand it as well. All work is safe, non-structural, and outdoors. Projects typically wrap up in a single day, about 4 hours or less. We're trying to make sure that you can, if you want to be a part of it individually, that you can come out and assist your neighbor, and that it's not going to be an all-day project. Okay, we're talking about typically 4 hours or less is what we're looking for in terms of any sort of assistance on any particular property. We actually set it up that way so that you can, it doesn't take the entire day, right? One of the ways that we did that was any actual violation that needs to be resolved, 9 out of 10 times, it doesn't require any sort of permit, okay? It doesn't require any sort of structural work. So if you look here under Tier 1, where it says high impact task, these are some of the things that actually needs to be implemented on some of the properties here in the city of Fairburn. Lawn mowing, edging, high weeds and grass, trash, junk, debris removal, trash bins being left at the curb, light litter pickup, but there's a few more too. And when you look at high weeds and grass, trash, junk, and debris, and trash bins left at the curb, those are actually 3 of the top 6 continual violations that we deal with here in the city of Fairburn. Okay, now the other 3, parking on the grass, no permit or proper permits, as well as inoperable vehicles. So what we're trying to do here is make sure that as we assist any homeowner in the city of Fairburn, that we are resolving exterior code violations that eliminates blight, that eliminates any sort of dilapidated state that the house may be in, or helps in the actual beautification of any particular street in the city of Fairburn. Now, here's the process, and here's why we sort of put together this program. Let me kind of show this to you. When we first make contact with any citizen in the city of Fairburn, and there's a violation that we need to address, everyone typically gets a door hanger. Okay, this door hanger gives you 5 days to comply with whatever violation we are addressing. Okay? If that 5-day window expires, we will give a second notice, which is our notice of violation. So you may see these around the city. It's residential, industrial, commercial. We use the same notices for all citizens or businesses in the city of Fairburn. Now, once this additional 5 days is given, now you're at about 10 business days total, or 14 calendar days to comply with any violation. At that point, there's a couple of things that we can do. The officers have some discretion where they can give you an extension if for whatever reason a violation is not resolved, but you have to ask for that extension, okay? And that extension is another way of us trying to get voluntary compliance versus having to use our last option, which is an actual citation. And this is how this program sort of came about, because we realized that as we was talking with the community, whether it be veterans, seniors, those who may have physical disabilities, or those who may have financial hardship that falls into one of those categories, that they did not have what they needed to bring some of the actual properties into compliance. So we introduced Love Thy Neighbor, Service in Action, to see if we can kind of get ahead of and get the violations resolved without having to take people to court. Tier 2, what you see here is the other things that you could participate in if you want to volunteer, and that's stuff like fence repair, shrub and severe overgrowth, minor exterior painting, non-structural deck repair, exterior siding. If you are a part of any of the faith-based organizations in the city of Fairburn and you want to get the church involved, regardless of the church religious affiliation, this is a perfect opportunity to really plug into the program and really be hands-on within the community and actually be just a part of the beautification of the city. So this is just a quick snapshot of what I just mentioned. The Love Thy Neighbor program, Service in Action program itself, this is who we primarily target, because we want to make sure that we're not leaving anybody behind, that we have something for everyone. So If you are 55 or older, if you are a veteran, if there's some sort of medical hardship, if there's any sort of disability that you may have that prevents you from resolving the violations on your property, that's who we want to see. That's who we want to keep in contact with. That's the communication or the contact that we want to have. If you have any neighbors, if you know anyone that may fall into this category, maybe it's not you, but maybe it's your neighbor, we want to know about it. Unfortunately, the early part of this year and last year, we had a few properties where there was seniors who needed the help, but they did not want the help. And they literally said to me in so many terms that they was going to try to do it on their own. Well, unfortunately, they was not able to resolve some of those violations, and we had to push it to the point of citation. What we're discovering is that either they don't have family or friends that live here, and historically they are not real favorable government, I should say it that way. So they don't want us to sort of like invade their privacy. So they are opting out of the help when they really need it. And we're trying to lower that sort of temperature in terms of how they view the city of code enforcement, how they view the city of Fairburn and code enforcement as a whole, and be that bridge for them to really get the help that they need. So please, if there's any conversation you would like to have regarding any specific situation that you're in, we want to have that conversation. We want to be sensitive to whatever it is that may concern you and make sure that we can assist you in the best way possible without jeopardizing any personal information or getting too far into your business and making you feel uncomfortable to the point for where you don't want to receive the help, right? We want to help you, okay? How to get involved. So you can register on the website. We do have an actual dedicated page to the Love Thy Neighbor program. And again, under the Love Thy Neighbor initiative, the programs are Service in Action. We have a tool bank or toolkit program that I'm going to share with you in a minute. And then we have a Good Neighbor Award where you're actually speaking something favorable on behalf of your neighbors whose yards have been manicured and landscaping is something to actually give a kudos to. Receive your assignment by mail or text, location, task list, and safety notes. Number 3, show up on project day, city tools provided, or bring your own. One of the programs that we have here in the city of Fairburn is called the Tool Bank or Community Toolkit. We actually have a trailer that we purchase and actual tools that we purchase through a grant that allows us to assist with violations you may have on your property if you don't have the tools to do so. If there are any neighbors that need the assistance and they don't have the tools, we have the tools here within the Code Enforcement Planning and Zoning Department. So we have the weed eaters, the wheelbarrows, we have the pole saws, we have the lawn mowers and so forth to actually get a lot of stuff done on the exterior of your home. We have a pressure washing machine. We have a lot of different things to help eliminate those exterior code violations and to work with you to help beautify your home or the curb appeal of your home as well. So number 4 says work alongside a designated lead or city staff liaison. More than likely, that liaison would be a code enforcement officer. We are going to coordinate the entire event for you and with you. So the entire step of the way, you will have direct contact and know exactly what you'll be doing, how you'll be engaged, and all the other particulars that may come with the event. Just keep in mind that we are really trying to build the program. We're really trying to make sure we get the word out across the city. So photos will be taken before and after. Some of you may be caught up in particular photos. If you have a concern regarding that, please let us know. But we are really trying to push the program. We think it's going to work for the entire city, for those that need the help. So photos will be taken before and after. A few things to consider if you're going to volunteer, because we want to make sure we do it safely. You must be 18 or older. Follow all city safety protocols. No experience required for tier 1 tasks. So your low impact, we sort of call it high impact, but your high impact, low tier actual efforts there is what we want to kind of keep that within so that we don't jeopardize anybody's safety. Tier 2 may require prior experience or training, and we'll deal with that on an individual basis. What are some of the things you should consider? If you are part of that group or individual, you should consider the best hours of the day to complete the assignment. Pretty much this is how it works. We identify a violation, someone who needs to help. We identify those who want to volunteer. We bring both parties together. We come up with a scheduled date, time, and all the necessary equipment that is required for that. So before you participate, if that's what you want to do, you will know everything before we actually step out and try to assist with the event. If you need assistance, that same courtesy would be given to you as well. You will know everything in advance before we actually step on the property to conduct any of the resolutions from the violations. It's a full engagement. But you do want to consider how much manpower is needed if you want to volunteer, the right tools available or heavy equipment needed. Is liability insurance warranted for the job? Depends on what the actual violations may be. Because we really don't want anyone on 10-foot, 12-foot ladders. Okay, those type of things we try to avoid. And last but not least, again, photos may appear on the City of Fairburn's public website. This screen here pretty much shows you how to contact myself, and this is in regards to the program as well as any violations that you may want to share with us on any particular property in the city. So my name is Londell Fleming, it goes without saying there, but that actual email address, codeenforcement@fairburn.com, comes directly to my email. So anything that you want to send me and share with me privately, it comes directly to me. It doesn't go to any third party or go circumvents throughout the city. That comes directly to the code enforcement desk. Direct telephone number. The only thing I want to add right here is I have a direct extension, and that direct extension, and we can always kind of backtrack and talk about this again, but that direct extension is 136. Okay? You have the site there. This is the dedicated page for the Love Thy Neighbor initiative. And again, on this page, you will see 3 programs. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. You'll see 3 programs. One is Service in Action. Continue to scroll down. Thank you, sir. Community Tool Bank, right? And Good Neighbor Award. On all 3 of those sections, you can sign up as a volunteer or someone that actually needs assistance. And for those of you that may not be familiar with the Fairburn.com website or may have some challenges in terms of getting online, I actually do have with me today some actual intake forms. So if you do need the service or if you do want to talk about it in general, you can actually take one of the forms with you, fill it out, email it to me, bring it back in, call me. We'll actually come pick it up if we need to. But there's a couple of different avenues that we'll go about getting you involved one way or another, if that's what you'd like to do. That is all of this particular presentation. Are we doing questions now? Okay. Okay. Are there any questions regarding the code enforcement process or the actual program itself?
That several times.
Okay.
And I understood in talking with the city attorney that code enforcement was soon to begin reviewing the codes. Is that right? Have you started revising the codes yet?
Some of the ordinances?
Yes.
Yeah, we're always looking at it.
Okay, are you looking for people to volunteer? You need your residents to come in and help with that at all? Is there a slot for that?
Well, the revision of some of those ordinances is spearheaded by our director. And so, Denise, do you want to speak to that? That'd be cool.
I have another question.
Hi, yes, we are in the process of doing a comprehensive update to our ordinances that is in collaboration with the city attorney's office. When we start that process, we would have a committee Typically, that would be via recommendations from the mayor and city council, but if you do have an interest in doing something like that, just email us at pz@fairburn.com to say, hey, whenever you guys start this process, I want to be a part of it.
Okay. I just want to address this because it sounds like the people that are here in your audience, you expect for them to be people who are interested in keeping up the quality of life and the appearance of the city. The one thing that may be covered, that maybe has not been covered yet by your presentation, is that in the older communities, we're having a problem with rental properties, and we don't want those rental properties to always be at odds with the residents who have been there for decades. And I want to emphasize that I think that even in the service section, there should be a way for residents to deal with property owners, the people that own those properties that do not make their renters keep up the property. All of your energy seems to be going to the same addresses over and over again in my area. And there are 2 houses in particular, and I know this going on, and no matter how we work around that, we're landscaping and painting and new windows, and we have those 2 properties that are nothing but blight.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind, and I am interested in being a part of that committee, and I will send the email. Thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm curious as to how the process worked. There is a form that can be filled out online to report a code violation. I filled out that form, no response. I got in touch with you directly through your email I found online. And yeah, I would like to know how you said 5 days, 10 days, you give a notice, you try to give, voluntary commitment to doing the right thing. But if those things aren't done, what happens? What happens? Because what we're experiencing is we have some cultural differences in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And, although it doesn't affect me directly, it affects me indirectly. And we were told that we were to live up to certain mandates of the city. But it seems as if some other people are doing some other things that just are not being addressed through code enforcement.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering, in terms of timelines, and if they don't comply, what actually happens
Yes.
to those situations?
So all the residents or business owners in the city of Fairburn, we take everyone through the same process in order to be fair. So again, they do get a door hanger and they do get an NOV. Now, that being said, after that, the officer has complete discretion to write citations to that individual person once the comply date has expired. Now, one of the things that we continually run into is that sometimes we have to find people. Sometimes we knock and they don't come to the door. And there might be 4 or 5 cars in the driveway, but they know what we look like and they know they're in violation. And sometimes some of those that with the cultural differences, there's a language barrier there as well. And we don't know that until someone opens up the door and then there's a kid standing there at 14, 13 years of age making a complete translation for their mom or their dad, right? Now, once they're in court, fines are assessed in terms of whatever violation that is fair in terms of the punitive damage. And then if they continue with those violations, the fines begin to go up. I wish I can say that that would stop people from bad behavior, but sometimes it does not. Unfortunately, if they do not want to adhere to the fines, then we have to escalate it and look at other options, which may be getting that rental company involved and maybe trying to write citations to those regional managers, or the case may be. But initially, the door hanger, the NOV, citations is the process, and the fines keep going up once we continue to cite them. And sometimes, unfortunately, once you have written several citations, unfortunately, they make themselves less accessible because they don't want to hit the fines again, but we're still dealing with the problems. So we just continue to push the issue until compliance is done. But to your point, yes, some take a little longer than others. And I do feel your concern regarding that because I have 5 or 6 properties off the top of my head where they're repeat offenders. Citations have been written, and we have to do something a little better with that stuff. Yes,
Any other questions?
there is one.
Hold on, hold on.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sharti.
Okay,
I'm trying to speak for her.
okay.
But I thought she was asking if they don't comply, what happens?
Right. So if they don't comply, this is private property, right? Code enforcement does not make arrest. No one goes to jail. Citation.
Tell us what happened?
Yeah, citations. Citations is the actual final punitive installment, right? Citations for those properties that have people in them. If you're speaking of something that is vacant, then the city of Fairburn also has an abatement process that deals with vacant properties that fall into the dilapidated condition and so forth. I want to make sure I really answer your question on that. Does that answer your question? I just want to make sure we really dig into it for you.
Yes. So there are, for the properties that have had sometimes years of issues, repeated issues, and if the property owner says, you know, I've gotten citations, I'm still not going to do anything, we had to work with the city attorney's office to refine our blight abatement program, which means that if a property owner says, I am not going to fix, let's say you have a roof, it's been collapsing forever, I'm not going to fix it, and everything continues to deteriorate, and that property owner is completely unresponsive. Now we're building a case. So now we're getting all the evidence. We're showing the city attorney's office. We're showing all the information that we've provided to say that this property owner will not resolve this issue. Now the city needs to come in and do that. We cannot do that without a judge's order. So not to say that we will not be resolving the issue, but it does take several months. We have to make the case with our city attorney's office so they understand exactly what happened, details, pictures, so that they can present that to the court, so that the court can then say, hey, okay, you guys have done everything that you can. This property owner doesn't want to. This is affecting property owners surrounding them. It's affecting the entire neighborhood. So in those, there are instances where if a property has someone in the house and if a property is vacant, if there is a pressing public nuisance issue, yes, we can go through the city attorney's office and with approval from a judge, use resources to resolve that issue. Now, it does take a lot longer to do that. I'll be quite honest with you. It's never something that you can do within a matter of weeks, sometimes months, even years. And when we first got to the city, one of the biggest issues we had was that our process was a lot more stringent, even in terms of notification. And our city attorney looked at it and said, that was one of the things that we need to update. The state doesn't require you go that long, so you shouldn't have to. And then there's also the process of making sure that if a person is not resolving code enforcement issues, typically there are other pressing issues along with it. You have to make sure that anyone who has an interest in that property is notified so that anybody who could potentially resolve that issue has legal notification that says, we've given you an opportunity to resolve it and you chose not to. And in those instances, yes, we have quite a few residential industrial structures that are in that category. And we are also, we have a budget now, thanks to Mayor and Council, where we can hire a contractor to go in and resolve those issues. But it's the speed that we're working on at this point. Yes, ma'am.
Are there any other questions?
At what point did you ever have to refuse a rental permit to a property owner? Is that one of the steps you could take when a property is not cleaned up, that that property can no longer be rented by the city of Fairburn? Because cities do that. And why haven't we done that?
So there is no process where we can tell a property owner that you cannot rent your property. There is a process that says your property is not fit for human habitation. And there is a lengthy process to declare somebody that says, hey, this property right here is not fit for people to be in. And that means we're using city resources to come in, and in some cases, you would have to, if it's really bad and no one is there and there's been like a fire or something like that, then we would be getting to the demolition process. If it is not so severe that it just needs to be enclosed or something of that nature, that still requires a court order under our current ordinance. Now, one of the things we are looking for with our city attorney's office, every legal mechanism possible to be able to resolve issues like that. In terms of what other cities do in terms of saying you cannot rent out the home, that's not something our ordinance allows us to do today without a court order. Yes, we are looking at it. I can't make a promise because I have to talk to our city attorneys to making sure we're doing everything according to our ordinances and making the changes that we can, but that is a process. Yes.
Any other questions? Hearing none, thank you so much, Londell. So our planning and zoning director, Ms. Denise Brookins, is not going far because it's her turn now. And let me fix your mic. Thank you.
Well, I first want to say thank you all for your questions. I appreciate when a community is passionate about every single issue. And I also appreciate the fact that you guys are just as passionate about blight as we are. You see it every single day. You have to pull up in your driveway and you see the house or the issue every single day. And I do want to let you guys know we are working on it. We have a whole list, a lot of meetings and things like that, so it is very much on our radar. And I do appreciate your questions, your passion, and I would say don't stop asking those questions and don't stop holding us accountable. So switching topics a little bit. We have in planning and zoning a fantastic team of individuals who work to make sure that folks get permits and all that kind of good stuff. And we are going very high level. We won't get into the weeds. If you want to talk about a particular project, pull me aside, we can certainly do that. But at a very high level, we just wanted everybody to kind of understand what the permitting process is like. We have a fantastic team of individuals who review all permits. We have a building official, Brian Epstein. He has years of experience. There is absolutely no question that you can't answer him that he will know specifically what you can do or cannot do. And he gives out his cell phone, so he's very accessible. We have Leonard Thompson, who does the inspection along with the team. And then if you come into the office, we have a great planning and permitting coordinator, Ms. Tia Sewell, who makes sure that all the permits come in. If you have questions, you want to email, you're just trying to kind of understand the nuances of your she shed or whatever else you want to build. There's somebody available that can answer those questions. So before you build a project, we're just going to go over very high level some things that you need to do. So get it right. Make sure that it protects you. So your home is a significant investment. That's not lost on us. And if people are non-compliant, if people are building things and haven't been inspected, it lowers property values. It's a significant investment for you. A lot of times, if somebody decides they want to sell their property and they've done all of this work, nobody knew anything about it. The first thing that happens at some point, some person in insurance calls my office and says, hey, can I get all the permits associated with it? Because I want to make sure everything in this house is up to code. And we are very transparent with them. So if there's things that have been built and there were no permits, we have to tell them that. So it's in everybody's best interest, if a permit is required, to make sure you get the permit. Make sure you get the permit because things need to be inspected. Make sure that if somebody's building something in your house, around your house, that they're doing stuff to code, to make sure that after that person is long gone and you have to live with this, that it's safe, your family can enjoy it, all of those things. So what do you need a permit for? There were many, many moons ago when you could pretty much do a lot without having a permit. And then a lot of hazards happened. And so building officials, building inspectors, everybody came together to kind of build this code that says, hey, these are the things you have to do, and these are the codes. Things like building additions, fences, sheds, especially if it's under 100, typically you don't need a permit for that. We just ask that you call to make sure that you're not placing that in any kind of easement Because if you've gone out, spent your money, bought this lovely shed for all of your things to go in, you love the shed, and then you put it in an easement, and something happens, and so now the city has to come and fix something, that means that shed has to move, especially if it's impacting the infrastructure. So we want, sure. So an easement, typically there is no line or any kind of indication. It's usually either in the back or the front of your property. It can be on the side, and it is an area where infrastructure is located. It can be underneath, so you can have a whole sewer line, pipeline, any of that that is in your backyard. You may not be aware of it if you've never seen a survey of your property, but it's located there, and things are not supposed to go in the easements. So we try to make sure that you get a permit so that we can have these discussions with you. So you say, hey, I want to put it in my backyard. You give us a survey, you give us your plan. We say, well, you can put it in your backyard, but you need to keep it about 10 feet off of this area because there's an easement there. And you may never know. I've never had an easement there. There's no sign. So we want to make sure that if you're doing something, that you have a permit for it. If you're just doing minor repairs, if a panel or something fell off a fence and you're trying to make sure to repair that, don't necessarily need a permit for that. But if you're trying to replace your entire fence, permit's going to be required. That also means you're going to need a survey. That's usually where we get the most pushback from people about surveys. And the reason we require the surveys is because of the easements, but to also make sure that whatever you're placing on your property is on your property. So a lot of times we've discovered somebody has put a fence permit together and they put it together and they don't have a survey, and then we make them go get the survey, and then they find out that their neighbor's fence is on their property. Never would have known if you didn't have the survey. So we want to make sure that whatever happens is on your property. But if your neighbor decides to do something, we also want to make sure that they're protecting their investment and your investment, that they don't put anything on your property that they're not supposed to. So we make everybody get a fence. And in some cases, there are a lot of instances, if it is a newer home, we may have a copy of the survey for you. So if you come in and say, hey, do you guys have a copy of the survey? We're happy to give you a copy of that. In some cases, we may have copies of your house plans. Open records requests, you can find out exactly what was built, inspected, surveys, all that good information. So permits and zoning, we tend to use this lingo a lot. We say, hey, you need a building permit for that, or your property is not zoned for that. So zoning is a type of classification. So there are residential zonings, there are industrial zonings, there are commercial zonings. We even have zoning districts that, like in the downtown area, we have some design guidelines that are specifically associated with historic preservation. So all of that is a part of zoning. Permit says, okay, I want to build something. This is exactly how it should be built and constructed. And sometimes within zoning, you'll have design guidelines and things of that nature. And the reason zoning exists is because nobody wants an ugly structure in between a house. You want to make sure that there's an empty lot, that they don't put anything up there that you're like, now why in the world would they put a factory next to somebody's house? You want to make sure that the infill looks appropriate, that fits your neighborhood, that is something you don't mind driving by as you go by. And also, in some cases, if you don't have those kind of guidelines in place, you want to make sure that it looks good, that it's protecting your investment. And if you have an industrial use next to a residential use, you're talking about noise, sound, all of that. And there are neighborhoods where you go by and you see this happen. And that's because a lot of times, sometimes zoning regulations are big dated, or they haven't been updated, or something happened. And we even have some instances right here in the city of Fairburn where there are some existing zoning designations that were approved well before the current mayor and council were here. And we are dealing with the consequences of that. So it is a nuance to the zoning piece of it. And if any point you have a question about zoning, history, any of that, you want to know about your neighborhood, always happy if we have information available to share that with you. So common projects that we see a lot of times, a lot of people get roof permits. Yeah, to replace your roof, you're gonna have to get a roof permit. You're gonna make sure that it's inspected, that everything is up to code. Typically, folks like a lot of sheds. So if it's under 100, more than likely, no permits required. Over 100, definitely gonna need a permit. 100 square feet. And then also, if you're talking about, height and things like that, there are also those restrictions. So you can't build a shed that's bigger than your house. And believe it or not, you have to tell people that. Additions, if you're trying to you love your home, but you just want to make it bigger, definitely gonna need full set of plans for those. And we're happy to guide you through that process, make sure you understand everything. And we also want to make sure that nobody takes advantage of any of the residents of Fairburn, because we've seen that happen a time or two, where people have started work on a project, told the homeowner, I have all the permits. They call the city, we have no permits. So we have to stop that entire project. And it is a significant disadvantage to that property owner, because there have been times where folks haven't been transparent and honest with people. So we want you guys to have all the information, ask the good questions as you're doing work or thinking about doing additions to your property. So my biggest advice I can tell you from talking to hundreds of property owners who've done projects, please make sure that that person is a licensed contractor, if that is what's required for that permit. Make sure that they have a business license. It's okay to ask them, do you have a business license? Can you send a copy of that to me so that I can make sure that I have exactly what your credentials are? Get everything in writing. Make sure that there is a paper trail associated with it. Confirm the permit is in place. If somebody says, I have an approved permit, can you give me a copy of that? I just want to make sure for my records. It's okay to ask around. The first person that comes and says, hey, I want to do this project for you, you don't have to go with them. You can ask as many people as you want. Ask for references. Make sure that if somebody is doing any kind of investment in your property, in your greatest asset, that you've done as much as you can to make sure that that person has the right credentials for you. So always check the zoning to make sure that what you're trying to do is allowed. Ask if a permit is applied. Before you get a contractor, you can call our office and say, hey, is a permit required for this? So that when you're talking to that contractor, you're informed. Gather your documents, the same documents that's required for the contractor. Happy to share that with you all so you know exactly what they're supposed to do. And again, until they have the permit, no work is supposed to be done. Nothing on that site until you have that permit. And that permit says that our building official has reviewed it and ensured that it complies with all of our codes. That's what that insurance is. We also have a lot of their information. So if your contractor comes and pulls a permit, they had to give us a business license, they have to give us their address, they have to let us know if it's something that requires a certain licenses. We have a copy of all that. We've done all that homework for you, so that by the time your contractor comes, if they say, no, I called the city and that didn't require a permit, it's okay to question them and press and ask, because this is something that's going to affect you. Because ultimately, if a contractor does something that is not up to code, you're the one that has to live with those consequences. So if you have any questions, concerns, please give us a call. We're happy to sit down to make sure that you're making the best decision possible and the most informed decision. So you put in your plans, everything is reviewed, construction begins. Typically, if construction is beginning, they have a permit, there's something on the property that says this is exactly what they're supposed to do. Then they schedule the inspection. And then, of course, depending on the type of permit, there are different inspections. They pass the inspection. And then typically, unless you're doing something new, if you're just doing an addition or something like that, you get a certificate of completion. That's supposed to be at the end of the project. You want to make sure that they've gotten that. If you want copies of the inspections, we're happy to give that to you as well. And, you know, the process is all of our stuff is digital now. Most likely, if you submitted a permit, you've gone through the portal. All those files are available. So, again, if you need help, if you have questions, we're available to do so. We want to make sure that you guys are informed, that if you have concerns, that we can address those. And again, our building official, our planning and permitting coordinator, those are some of the most seasoned individuals. They've done this for quite a while. They know all the questions. There's no question that they don't know the answer to. So if you have any questions, things like that, I am here. And we also have Ms. Sewell in the back. So if there's a question that I don't quite know, I will certainly pull her up to answer that question. That's all I have. Comments? Thank you.
So I recently went through several experiences with trees falling, on my house, in my yard, and because we've had several severe winter storms over the past 2 to 3 years. And I did not know or was confused about needing a permit to cut down trees. So could you talk a little bit about what that requires and describe any other type of issues like that
Yes.
that, a normal resident would encounter?
Yes. So we do have a process for tree permits. Typically, there is no cost associated with it. If you are a resident and you want to remove a tree because you believe that it's dangerous, that you believe that it could potentially fall on your house, you're concerned that it's dead. On occasion, we've had an arborist go out with the property owner, no charge for any of this. There's a permit requirement, but we have somebody come out, our code enforcement officials will come out and look at the tree with you, and if it's close to a power line or something of that nature, we want to make sure that it's inspected so that we know that nothing can come that's harmful. So everybody's required to have a tree permit. Tree permit does a couple of things. We are a tree-friendly city, so every property owner is required to have a certain amount of tree density. But if the tree is dead, the arborist goes out, does the inspection, so this tree is not gonna last too much longer. It's falling, it's dangerous, then you get your permit. If it is a dangerous situation, and you said, hey, I need this permit today, then yes, we will figure out a way to get somebody out there same day to get that permit to you. But yes, a permit is always required for a tree. If you're doing something more extensive, so you decide, hey, I have an empty lot, it's full of trees, and I want to remove all the trees, then you have to go to engineering and landscaping and all that, and it's a more extensive review, and there may be some fees associated, but typically for a homeowner, if you're trying to remove a tree, you have to get a permit, but the permit is no cost to you. We just want to make sure that it's removed safely. So, but things like that are what people may not know. So tree permit is required, re-roof is required, all that kind of good stuff. Yes, ma'am.
They're gonna do it all at one time?
Okay.
Excuse me. If they're gonna do it all at one time, you just get one permit? Is
Yes.
that- Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
No, typically for all. Mhm. There's an application, yes. Just we have minor and major. So if it's like 2 or 3 trees, we consider that a minor permit. And more than likely, because, people have several acres, so folks have trees for days. So you can usually remove 2 or 3 trees and still be able to meet the tree density requirement. Yes, ma'am.
The process to have your property rezoned, what does that look like? Who do you contact?
Me.
Contact you?
Hi.
Okay, great.
Denise.
And then you set up a process or?
Yes.
something to-
So for the rezoning process, typically involves 4 steps. You submit your completed application. We have a pre-application meeting where we go over all the details. There is a community meeting, highly recommended within a couple of months. It's going to be a requirement that everybody who's doing a rezoning has to do a community meeting. Then you go before the Planning and Zoning Commission. Right here in this room, they're residents. They provide a recommendation to the mayor and city council about what your request is. Then the mayor and city council decide whether or not, based on our standards, that you can proceed and approved as you present it. They can approve it with conditions, or if they think it's not a good fit, they can decide to deny it.
I wanted to ask about fencing. There's already a fence on your property, and you simply want to extend it along the property line. Could you depend upon the numbers that are in the warranty deed for your home? And would those match what the county would have on record?
No,
In
ma'am.
terms of lot size, that
No.
doesn't match?
No, the county, a great team up there, but the information they have is usually notoriously, what you see on the GIS map is usually not what's on the ground. We've seen instances where properties were undersized. We've seen instances where the length was completely different when you get there. So we have to have that land survey. And the information usually is not 100% accurate. It'll give you a general idea, but it's not 100% accurate at all.
So the resident would have to call a survey company, or could they contact your office and one is suggested? What happens?
We don't suggest land surveyors. You can pick whoever you like, and we don't make recommendations on land surveyors because we don't want to say, hey, this
You don't
guy's
wanna be
great.
involved.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
You pick whoever you like.
So, because I'm doing the fence as well. So, you said there's a certain square footage, that's required?
For the trees or,
For the fence. So, any amount of fence that you're doing, because
yes.
any amount?
Yes, if you're trying to put up a fence around your property, yes, you're gonna have to get a permit for that. If you're trying to put like a small fence around like a garden or something like that, typically not. But if that's something you want to do, we can certainly talk about it offline. I know your neighbors are kind of like, is she getting a fence and a tree? So, but yes, we can talk about it online, offline.
Hi. What if you're getting a fence removed? You don't plan to replace it. Do you need a
Nope,
permit?
no permit required for that.
Thank you.
And I think Habitat is here, so I want to make sure that they have the presentation. It's the last one for one of my favorite residents, Ms. Cooper. How can I help?
If we want an assessment of our trees, do we call you or Gail Higgs?
On your on private property, you call me. We can get an arborist out there.
And that's free of charge?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll be calling.
You thank mayor and council. They gave us the budget.
Too, does that permit, like if you have overgrown bushes that are tall, is that a permit for that?
No, ma'am, not for bushes.
And then what is the extension to reach your office?
120.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brookins. Thank you for that informative session. How did you all like that? That was, yes, very informative. We'll now have Mr. Reed Lockwood and Mr. Trez Hall with Habitat for Humanity to talk about their programs. Thank you.
Guys, so excited. Oh, thank you. Thank you guys for having me back. We're really excited. We do build in your area. As a matter of fact, I remember being on a build probably around 15 years ago, and we also do a repair and brush, a painting program in and around this area. And we've been working in this area probably around 20, 25 years. So always like coming down here and going to the Green Manor. Both Trez and I enjoy that place quite frequently. I want to first and foremost thank you all for being here. I want to thank the mayor, Mayor Jones, Linda Davis. Without her, councilwoman, I would not be here. She is an amazing person and was really the person that has connected me. Also, Mr. Tony Phillips and Ms. Howell also have contributed a lot to what we are going to do here. And so what is the HomeWise program? It is a program inside Atlanta Habitat. As you can see here in your HomeWise guide, what we do here is try to educate and empower you, okay? Why did we even come up with this program? Let me tell you a story, okay? This all happened about 3 or 4 years ago. I was at a homeowner's house. She was an elderly woman. She was on her fixed income, and I looked at her roof, and I was like, oh, I see you have a new roof. I was like, it looks really good. They did a great job. And she was like, oh, yeah, I spent a lot of money on this roof. And I was like, well, do you mind me asking how much this roof costs? And she said, this roof is about 1,200 square foot, so not a big house, ranch house, was $40,000, okay? So think about that. That roof should have cost her at most around $15,000. The actual wholesale price on that roof was probably $5,000 or $6,000, and that's paying your crew. And so this happens probably once or twice a month, and probably for every 10 homeowners that we serve, probably 2 to 3 get taken advantage of. Some not for 30 grand or 40 grand, but I would say there's a lot of homeowners that get taken advantage for several $1,000s. A lot of it is, I'm going to start work and I'm not going to finish it. They do the demo and don't come back. Okay, so we're going to go over ways to educate you on having you not have that happen, okay? We're going to go over some cost what issues to look for, and how to address those issues. Great. All right. Bam. Make sure I press the red. Did I press this? Gotcha. All right. Perfect. All right. So we are the HomeWise program. So what do? The program works with homeowners to identify and prevent issues, maintain their homes, educate and utilize resources so that homeowners feel empowered. And so I know I've got probably a little less than an hour here. We do a class every 3 to 4 months at our facility on Memorial Drive in Atlanta, where we actually have a home room that has a cutaway of toilets, so we can actually show you how things can be fixed, okay? So if you ever want to actually look at it and feel it, sometimes people are learning by seeing, some people are learning by doers, and some people are like me, are like making a mistake a couple times, and then I learn how to do it quickly. So if you want to learn how to do it, we do it every 3 to 4 months. There's going to be a sign-in sheet. There's also my card and Treza's card. You can take a picture, and also you can take one as well. So we want you guys to feel empowered after this, and we also want you to be able to have continued education. So you can do that through our affiliate. Okay, so some stats. I think it's important that you guys understand some statistics here. So there's 3.6 million homeowners in the Atlanta area. If you go to the next point, 15% of elderly homeowners and 13% of millennials are victim of contractor fraud. So millennials are almost as much as a lot of folks. That's pretty interesting. The median loss means, you know, for the most part, the elderly are as smart as the people who are who should know better, or that they don't. But median loss to home improvement fraud is over $2,000. So this is important, guys. So that's 3.5 times the amount lost to all other fraud. And that number doesn't reflect the fact that most people who get taken advantage of don't tell anybody, right? So that actual fraud is probably about 2 to 3 times more than what you see there. I can tell you it's more than that. All right, many homeowners are unaware of their insurance coverage deductibles. So in the last 10 years, material costs have gone up, I would say about 2 to 3%. As a matter of fact, I had a lady who was cleaning an apartment, and it used to be $90, and now it's $300. So it just depends on what it is, roofing materials, all this stuff. So the question is, has your coverage gone up with the cost of materials and the cost of labor? Okay, so how do you do that? And we'll go over that, is you need to contact your insurance company and see, hey, what is my coverage? Has it gone up in the last, has my coverage not, you know, that's what you need to figure out. Has your coverage gone up? And the amount, because if something were to happen, you might not be covered. That's huge. All right, so the 5 essentials, what we're going to go over today: structural systems, heating and air, painting and weatherization, electrical systems, and water and plumbing. There's a lot of information. I'm going to try to go through this as quickly as possible. We do have some videos, and we'll go through some of them. And again, if you want to go more in depth, make sure you come to our facility, and we'll feed you, and we'll have a lot of fun, I promise. So a couple of things. Number one, actually, is your structural system. What incorporates your structural system? So that is your roof, okay, and that is your foundation, all right? Those are the 2 most important structures. Of that, you'll have the foundation. So we'll first define what that is. So the home's foundation, and you can see it on you can follow along on your manual there. So on your 2nd or 3rd page, your home's foundation is contact with the building. So if you go around your foundation and you see a crack, that's usually a problem. If you see cracks in walls, so you see large cracks in interior walls, sinking in foundation, uneven floor, great. So those are things. So if you see a crack in your wall, that's a telltale sign. It could be settling, but if you see new ones develop, that would be problematic, okay? So you want to make sure you address that. Also, roof. So most of us have issues. It's going to be with our roof, right? So how do we identify that something is going wrong with our roof? Well, first and foremost, you'll see usually a brown stain on your ceiling, okay? That's a telltale sign that you have a leak, okay? Don't panic, but what I'll tell you, and I've been doing this around 2 decades is that one issue, I should take a picture of my own house where I have this issue, but that one little issue can morph into a huge issue coming down the line. I was building a house about 10 years ago, and this lady had a hole maybe like this. She didn't have the money to fix it, and I saw within 4 months her being evicted from that house because it was uninhabitable. Because why? That water gets in there, it starts to rot, but it doesn't only rot, folks. It also starts to mold up. So you got to be really diligent. So a $200 to $500 repair morphs into months and months, especially you think about all the rain that we've had in the last 2 months. That $200 to $500 repair can morph into thousands of dollars, or in the case of this lady, she could not live in her house. So look for shingles that may be broken or out of place. You want to make sure that there's no branches around your house that are rubbing against the shingles, your roof shingles, okay? Discoloration. So you want to inspect your roof once or twice a year, okay? Make sure, just look up there. Make sure that, you don't see any big branches coming through or on your, what happens is those branches and leaves, they trap moisture. So you want to make sure you blow that off, okay? Also your gutters, big time on that as well. All right, so this is the other part that I like to show you guys. So in your brochure, you'll see a cost structure. This is so important for you all to understand how much things cost, because if you don't understand how much things cost, somebody will take advantage of you. So roof inspection, $120 to $250. Roof repair costs, $400 to $1,300. Roof replacement, $6,000 to $15,000. Foundation inspection, $300 to $700. Foundation repair, $5,000 to $20,000. Yeah, foundation is pretty significant. So those are estimates. It could be more or less. Let's see. We'll go through.
As previously
we'll go through the
mentioned,
video.
structural systems such as the foundation and roof are the most essential aspects of your home envelope. Your foundation's primary function is to stabilize and affix the weight of your house to the soil and rock that is beneath your home. If you notice cracks in the foundation itself, on the exterior or interior walls, sinking or uneven floors, all of these could be signs of foundation wear or damage. In this case, you should consider contacting a professional home inspection service to get a full scope of the wear or damage to the foundation. The typical lifespan of a new roof is around 25 to 30 years and should be inspected once per year. Inspections by a professional are approximately $250 and a great way to prevent damage from compounding. Another key tip is to clear and or trim any trees that grow over the roof of your home, as the fallen limbs could degrade or puncture the underlayment. Moreover, if you have gutters, be sure to have them cleaned at least once per year. Otherwise, the surrounding areas of the gutter can suffer rot damage. If you notice water stains in your ceiling, missing shingles, or a sagging of the roof, your roof may need repairs or a full replacement.
You change out that filter every 3 months, okay? Why? Because not only does it help with your air quality, but it also saves your motor, okay? The more it has to work that air through, just think about, your box fan and you putting your shirt to dry or something, it's working, it will wear that motor out. Loud or unusual noises, system is running. So the average system should last between 10 and 15 years, okay? So sometimes you luck out, like I had a system that was 25 years old, an old train system, and I actually replaced it last year, and I paid $8,000. Let's see. So thermostat, a lot of times if your thermostat's not working, it's as simple as the battery on the back. So 2 AA or AAA batteries, so make sure you're aware of that. I don't want you guys paying any money that you don't have to pay. HVAC filter, like we said, every 3 months, so important. That's going to really cut down on your pollution in your house, okay? All right, so air ducts. The other thing is that all your HVAC, they have air ducts that carry that air, the heat and air all throughout your house. How many of you guys have gotten your air ducts cleaned in the last 5 years? Wow, all right. Well, that's pretty good. That's more than usual. That's really good. Well, the reason why you want to do that is that it actually makes the system more efficient, right? That motor doesn't have to work as hard, but also your allergies. If you have allergies or anything like that, that will get all that mold, if you have it, or mildew and dander out of that system. And of course, to go back to the filter, the more you change that filter, the less you have to change your air ducts, because the air ducts are pretty expensive to clean. So you'll see right here, clean air ducts is between $500 and $1,000. HVAC filter is $75 to $125. That's if you hire somebody to come out. If you do it yourself, it's going to be probably $10, $15, for the filter itself. Thermostat replacement, $125 to $500. Whole unit, like you see here, $4,000 to $10,000, and those costs are going up. Right.
Hello, my name is Rachel, and I'm a member of the Atlanta Habitat Construction Team. And today we're going to go over your HVAC system. The HVAC system is the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system that heats and cools your air. And that heating and cooling is based on the thermostat that you have in your home. And this unit will heat the air or cool the air based on the temperature you set on your thermostat. This HVAC unit can be found in a few locations in your home. In this particular home, this HVAC unit is actually located upstairs in a utility room, and it's a part of the building envelope. In other instances, this unit may be located in the attic, or in some cases it could be located in a crawl space. So what you want to do is identify where your HVAC unit is located. All right, once you have identified where your HVAC system is located, a couple other things you want to check for. All right, so one of the main things that you want to keep an eye on is where your HVAC system has its return air and its filter. All right, what we're doing now is locating the place where your filter is housed. In some HVAC units, the filter is housed in the unit itself. In other locations, in other HVAC units, the filter is located in a hallway or in the ceiling. So you want to identify where your filter is located. Once you have identified that location, go ahead and change your filter every 3 months or so. And the way you change this filter in this unit is you're going to pull these latches down and pull this handle up. And here you can see your filter located inside the unit. When you pull your filter out, you want to take note of a few things. One, you want to note the size of your filter. So this filter is 18 by 20 by 1. So when you buy replacement filters, you want to make sure you get this same size. You want to make sure that this arrow, when you insert it into your unit, is pointing in the same direction as the airflow. In this case, the air is flowing up into this unit, so you want to make sure your arrow is pointing up into the unit. When you insert your filter, make sure your arrow is pointing in the same direction as the airflow. All right, once you push it in, drop your lid and pull up your latches. And that's really simple. Anyone can do it. The importance of this step is that it will allow your HVAC system to have longevity. This filter helps trap dust, pollen, dander, hair, or any foreign particles that may be sucked up into the unit and cause a problem. So the more often you change your filter, the better longevity you will have with your system, and the better airflow you will get. The quality of air that's coming through the vents will be much better.
So Trez and I run that particular program, and we do that after the repair program comes. So a lot of people think that painting is just cosmetic. It's not. It's very important to make sure that you don't have rot. You do want to power wash your house every 2 to 3 years. So a couple things. Surface is peeling, right? So we all know that that's wrong. Surface is chalky. So if you put your hand on the surface and there's like a chalky substance, you'll know that it's definitely time to go ahead and paint it. Surface has mildew or surface has rot. Those are all signs of issues. So you want to power wash exterior once every year, okay? 2 years max. Why? Because it will allow your paint job to actually last almost twice as long. Paint exterior every 7 to 10 years. The quality of paint you use matters. So don't skip on the quality of paint and pay for the labor. The labor costs a lot of money, especially these days. Pay the extra money for the good paint because it's going to last you longer, okay? Don't skimp on the quality of paint. You can go to Consumer Reports. I highly recommend Consumer Reports. Check that out. Stain porches every 3 to 5 years, okay? So exterior paint cost is $1,500 to $7,000. Power wash is between $250 to $400, okay? I'm just going to go over. All right, weatherization. All right, so this is important, especially in wintertime. Weatherization, there's easy ways and hard ways. So the easy way is to just add attic insulation into your attic. Weatherization is going to make sure, that you don't spend a lot of money on your heating and air costs, okay? So what are you looking for? So inspection and signs of issue with, that you might have an issue is mildew, mold smell in the house, basement or crawl space, house not keeping warm or cool, okay? So if you have mildew smell in your house, it could be that the water is percolating through your crawl space and you don't have plastic down there. Now, I just did a house about 2 months ago, and I put plastic in that crawl space, and when you came into the house, you could smell it. Like it hit you like that mildew and mold smell. You guys, everyone knows what it smells, especially if you're in Georgia. I put that plastic down, it's all gone, okay? It's important that you do that. That's a quality of life issue, guys. And not only that, that stuff will get into your ducts and your HVAC, so you want to make sure you take care of that. A lot of people have sensitivity to mold, so that's a huge issue. Moisture control. So there's a vapor barrier. It's a plastic. It's, the 3 mil plastic, so it's pretty thick, that you put onto the crawl space. We'll have a video in a second, but gutters and downspouts. So what do gutters do? Gutters allow that water to get away from the foundation. It moves that away. Make sure that you take stuff, and then insulation, attic and walls. So this is the easiest. If you pump insulation into your attic, that's the easy way, and you want a total of about 15 inches, window film and insulation, caulking windows and doors. So those are other ways to make sure. But the number one, folks, is to the attic insulation. That's an easy method. Remember, heat rises, so it's going to definitely keep your costs low in the wintertime. So cost structure for this. Vapor barriers between $1,300 and $4,000, gutters $900 to $3,200, attic insulation costs $1,500 to $3,500.
All right, insulation is one of those key items in your home that help minimize your energy cost. The way it does that is when you have your air conditioning set, this insulation prevents and it slows down the loss of air from the exterior part of your home. When you have your heat set, the insulation helps prevent that heat from escaping and keeps it in the place where you want it to be. All right, and what the insulation does along the exterior part of your home and also in the attic is create an envelope. So everything within that space is heated and cooled based on what you have in your thermostat. And the insulation helps you maintain that temperature, whatever you have set. So when you're blowing your air and this insulation is in place, it helps keep the air in the house and keeps it from escaping. When you're running your heat and this insulation is in place, it'll help keep your home warm and prevent that heat from escaping the envelope. All right, so your insulation is a key component of that climate control. What you want to do is come on into your attic and take a look. See what kind of insulation you have. In this case, this insulation is blown in, and you'll see various locations around the attic where you'll have rulers, and this lets you know the depth of your insulation. How much insulation have they blown in? All right. In the state of Georgia, as of 2024, the minimum value is a R38, and that just lets you know how thick, how deep that insulation is. When you have a well-insulated home, you'll see that reflected in your cost of your utilities, your light bill or your gas bill. Your HVAC unit will run more efficiently when you have a well-insulated home. And if your HVAC unit is running efficiently, it costs less to run, and you'll see that reflected in your bill. So take care of your HVAC unit. Change that filter every 3 months. Every 3 to 5 years, get those ducts cleaned. All right. And then also just make sure you have the appropriate amount of insulation in your attic. That will help you keep your costs down, and that will help you have a more comfortable living space. All right. We are now down in the crawl space of a home, and I want to point out a few things down here that you want to take note of. One is the insulation above in between the floor joist. All right, and then the other thing is the vapor barrier that's on the crawl space floor, and that also comes up onto the foundation wall. This vapor barrier is pretty key in preventing unwanted moisture, unwanted vapor from rising up from the earth, all right, and getting into your crawl space. The importance of this is that if it's in place and it's working properly, it'll help minimize and reduce or eliminate the risk of mold and mildew. So you definitely want to make sure that this is in place and that it's not torn or anything like that.
Questions at the end. If you have any questions or anything like that, I'll be here as long as you need me. Electrical plays a role in how your home operates. Electricity is responsible for everything from your bedside light to your refrigerator. By understanding the basics of how electricity is distributed around your home, you can keep this important system properly maintained and in safe working conditions. Guys, if there is one thing I highly recommend you not doing and working on, it's electrical, so don't hire a professional. So inspection signs of issues: appliance not working, outlet not working, no power in house, light flickering throughout the house. So if that last one happened to me, and what happened was I had a squirrel on my line. So it could be something as simple like that. No power in house. It could be a breaker, outlet not working. It just be a worn out outlet. So a couple things. So your breaker box delivers electricity to switches. So if, a lot of folks, if you overload, let's say you put in your vacuum, it will trip the breaker, and that means it will go in the middle of that breaker. To reset, you want to make sure you turn it to the off position and then back on to reset that breaker, okay? So electrical repair costs. So circuit breakers are between $130 to $300. Outlet to light switches between $100 and $220. Ceiling fan is between $90 and $250. And then replacing a breaker box is between $1,300 and $5,200, okay? All right, so water and plumbing systems. All right, so most of the time, this is what happens to your house, and this is the problem. It usually has to do with plumbing, okay? So let's see, the main water supply is a system that brings water into your home from the pipe that runs underneath your street. Water passes through a meter near the street to your home, then is distributed to all the different appliances, okay? So inspection signs of issues. So especially with excessive water bill, it could be a small leak. It could be a big leak. It just depends. If you have a bill that is going more and more each month, then you want to make sure that you address that. Water around the toilet base. So this one I like to address, folks. So water around your toilet base, again, it's one of those issues that isn't a huge issue immediately, but if you allow that water in your toilet base to continue, it will rot your subfloor and rot around it. You'll need to retile. It's thousands and thousands of dollars. You know what's wrong with your toilet usually? It's a $10 wax ring. So that's all you need is a $10 wax ring. So pay the $150 to $300 for that new wax ring instead of the thousands of dollars. Water under your sink, dripping faucets. So those are things you can usually see. No hot water, that could just be an element. So the element in your hot water would cost probably $150 to $200 for a plumber to come out, or it could be meaning that if you have an old system of 15 to 20 years old, it probably means you need a new hot water heater. So main water shutoff. So this is important in the video. We'll go over it. This is I think this is our last unit here, and then I go into questions and then a little bit of education about insurance and best practices. But main water shutoff is really important. So you don't need it until you need it. So when I go out to a house, I always walk the property with the homeowner to show them where their main shutoff valve, because in your older houses, there isn't a main shutoff valve underneath the house. It's on the street. So you need to know where that is in case something catastrophic happens to a pipe inside the house. You might not think you need to know where that is, but let me tell you something. When the water's spurting out of your pipe at like 100, 200 PSI, you're going to want to know where that off is. You want also it's called a T-wrench. And these are things that you're going to need to know. You don't think you need to know, but you're going to want to know where that is, okay? Water heater. So you want to flush your system every year or so. If you've had your system, and let's be honest, most people don't do this, but if you have a new water heater, try to do it every 2 years, okay? If you already have your water heater and you haven't done it, don't do it. All right, but if you've got a new one in the next 5 years, start doing that. It's actually going to prolong it about 30%. Sinks and faucets. A lot of this is common sense. So faucets and sinks should have their water supply connection checked periodically in case, for righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So just always keep that right means off, left means on. Preventing, so don't put oil in hair. That's a huge thing, guys. Don't put oil in hair in there because especially oil is, that can clog your line down the line, and really to unclog that will be about $500. So replace fixed faucet, $200 to $400. Replace fixed toilet, $150 to $650. Unclogged pipes, $125 to $600. Water heater, $800 to $2,200. So the last point I really want to go over for you guys, so reimbursement from water department. So about 10 years ago, and this is when water was about a third of what it is now, I had a water heater in a crawl space, and I didn't know that it was leaking. And let me tell you, when these water heaters, it's under pressure. They're like hemorrhaging water. It's like, a hose. So I didn't catch it for a week. I got a bill for $3,000. Now, this is 10 years ago. It'd probably be about twice that now. And so what I did was I took the bill from the plumber to the water department, and they reimbursed me to my average bill. So these are the things that you probably only do this once or twice in your life, but it's good to know, and you need to have a licensed plumber for that, okay? That's very important, okay? All right, here's the last video.
This is your water meter. The water from the street comes through this meter to the appliances in your house. It supplies the water for your toilets, your sink, your hot water heater. All that water is supplied through this pipe that goes through this meter. The reason why you will want to know where the shutoff valve and the meter is that in case there is a main rupture in one of your lines that does not have a shutoff valve, you'll need to know where the main shutoff valve is, and that will be on this meter here. The water meter is supplied on this side with a pipe that has a quarter turn valve. You'll see here that going with the pipe will mean on. To turn it a quarter to the right will mean to turning it off. So again, with the pipe is on, away from the pipe is off. You'll also recognize that you have two sets of piping here and also on the other side. Make note that on this side of the water meter is the city side and this side is your side. If something were to go wrong with the piping on this side of the water meter, that would be the responsibility of the city, and on this side would be your responsibility on this side. This is your hot water heater. This particular hot water heater is electric. Some hot water heaters are gas. This is the main shutoff valve for the hot water heater. So if something were to be leaking on the unit itself, you would want to turn off the main water by going a quarter turn to the right. And remember that away from the pipe is off and with the pipe is on. So to turn it off, you want it away from the pipe. Also, general maintenance on hot water heaters is that you want to empty them once a year. To do that, you will come down to the valve here. You will attach a hose to this attachment here, and then some have a valve, but a lot of the newer ones you have to use a screwdriver and go to the left with the valve to open it. So remember, lefty loosey and righty tighty. So you want to go to the left, and that will then allow the water to exit the system. So this is a quarter turn valve and this is a twist valve. These are the two type of valves that you'll see underneath your sink and toilet. With the quarter turn valve, with the pipe means on, and a quarter turn to your right will be off. With your twist valves, think of it this way: lefty loosey, which means on, righty tighty, which means off. So for example, here to the left will turn on, and to the right will turn off. So again, all the way to the left is on, to your right is off. This is a cutaway of a toilet. You'll see here that if you have blockage in your toilet, it will be in this line right here. In order to unblock your toilet, you can use a plunger, place it at the opening here, and use an up and down motion in order to clear that blockage. Many times over the years, your wax ring will wear out, and in that case, you'll have wetness at the bottom of your toilet. If that's the case, you'll want to replace that as soon as possible because it can compromise the subfloor or the flooring underneath the toilet. To do that, you will take off the toilet or hire a plumber to take off the toilet and then put a new wax ring right at this opening here.
So we're to our last 3 or 4 slides here. So the 5 golden rules of managing contractors. So this is probably as important. So this is how my homeowner that got the $40,000 roof could have probably navigated away from that. So a couple things. One, all right, research websites, okay? So Home Advisor, now Angie, Yelp, Better Business Bureau. So make sure they have 5-star reviews, 4.5 stars, anything more than 4 stars, 4 stars or more, okay? You want to look at those reviews. You want to read those reviews because a lot of times they have people write reviews, so you want to make sure that they have more than maybe 10 reviews or 20 reviews, so make sure that you do that. Get at least 3 written estimates. I still do this. I still do this to this day. I've been in this, doing this for 2 decades, 20 years. I still get 3 written estimates because costs fluctuate so much. Never put down more than 10 to 15% on large jobs over $5,000. This is so important. Never pay in cash. Guys, don't pay in cash. Visa, credit card, check somewhere you can actually track that, okay? Do not bow to pressure. if they tell you this is a one-time deal for the next 10 minutes, trust me, it's going to be a deal tomorrow as well. Licensed and insured, this is very important, especially and specifically with a couple things, like your trees, you've got to have somebody who's licensed and insured. Roof, anything that's very, very, very dangerous, like roofing, trees, because that liability could go back onto you, okay? So that is really important that you take that. All right, so lastly, insurance questions to know. Who do you call? All right, so a lot of people know they have Nationwide. They know that they have State Farm, but they don't know who to call when something happens. It's so important for you to know that who is the person you're going to call when something happens, okay? It's, you can call the 1-800 number, but it's good to know if you have an agent, call that agent because they have your best interest in mind. What is your deductible? Is it $2,500? Is it $5,000? How much am I covered for? And the reason why that deductible is important is that you always want to have that cash in your bank, right? You want to, in case something happens, you don't want to be caught off guard. How much am I covered for, okay? What damage are you covered? Are you covered for, and talking about planning and, code enforcement, the planning, is that structure that you built, is it covered, okay? Will filing a claim affect your coverage? So I'm not an insurance agent, but I can give you some guidance here. The answer to that is that if you do a lot of claims on your house, they will drop you. And even though we are in the middle of, there's no ocean, we have seen a huge uptick in insurance companies dropping homeowners. So if you do it once every 2 to 3 years, it shouldn't be an issue. Now, and this goes back to the original point, has my home coverage risen with inflation, ID, labor, and materials? So to get your house fixed is going to cost more money than it did when you probably got your insurance 10, 15 years ago. So you need to call your insurance and say, hey, look, I need to get more insurance, or how much would this cost? So that's important, okay? So these are the resources here. We have educational videos. Those are actually in your brochure. And thank you, guys. And I'll take any questions. Do you guys have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
In your experience, have you found that the blow-in insulation is any better than the padding?
Are you talking about the blown-in? Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Why? That's great.
Blow-in is better.
So when I started doing it, we used to use what we call bats insulation, and the problem with that, it allows air on the sides to come in. The blown-in insulation goes in and fills those gaps. The other type is the actual foam insulation. That is very costly, but it is the most comprehensive. But for cost, the best one is the blown insulation that you would do your attic, and it's pretty affordable.
And then is that T-tool at any hardware store, the T-wrench?
Yes, you can buy that T-wrench. I don't know if you have Amazon, you can, that would probably be the cheapest way to do it.
So I've seen advertisements for Habitat for Humanity is offering free roofs for people that are over 55. I don't know if that's something that you have to apply for, or you know anything about that.
So yes, and Trez and I are part of the home preservation program. And so to qualified homeowners, we do, it's called Safe, Dry, Accessible. So a lot of those houses do have their roof replaced. And you do have to qualify. There's, you have to have ownership of your house, no liens except for, if there's a mortgage, there's some qualifications. But so the main thing that we concentrate on the repair program is the roof, access, so ramps, bathrooms and kitchens. So a lot of times the subfloor has gone out on these homes, and we want to stabilize it so that you guys can stay in your home. And it's a lot cheaper to stay in your home than it is. For example, my mom I think she was at a facility that was like $3,000 a month. Mm-hmm. And I think if you need elder care or memory care, it's twice that. So, so we're trying to keep folks in their house, and that is one way. So it's the repair program. We are the painting, and we do slight repair on the exterior sometimes, but mostly that repair program. But yes, we have brochures that Trez can give you on your way out as well, okay? Yeah, good question.
I have one question. My subdivision is maybe between 20 and 25 years old, and we have blown-in installation. Is there a time when we need to does that installation remain the same, or do you have to replace it or replenish it after so many years?
That's a great question. The answer to that, thankfully, is no. Now, the one thing you might want to check is that the amount that they blew in 10, 20 years ago was probably less than what let's say this, when people, they probably didn't put as much as they should have, so check that. You want that 15 to 16 inches, and really you can go above that as well, but that's the easiest and cheapest way. But in generally speaking, that will last for the lifetime of your home, so you're good to go.
So we're good to go. So I don't need to, I'll communicate with my HOA. So you're saying even though our houses are 20 to 21 years old, we don't need to have any insulation blown in? It's sufficient?
It's sufficient in that, yes, it will be, it doesn't go anywhere, and it what we call holds that insulation value for the lifetime of that house. You can always blow more, but that would be on probably the individual homeowner. I would have to go out there to evaluate the amount that they put in. They might have already put in a lot. You just have to get somebody out there. But every house in Georgia built in the last 40 years has insulation in their walls and also insulation in their attics. So you're good to go. And it doesn't change. It's the same insulation value. It doesn't diminish over time.
Okay. Well, I said one question, but that was a lie. The second question.
That's fine. That's what I'm here for.
The second question is, again, for me and my homeowners association, or my homeowners, we have windows, and I've been seeking to get windows because, we have those double hung windows, and they're 20 years old. My subdivision is no less than 21 years, I think maybe 22 years old. So I want to get my windows replaced, but not necessarily all of them, just the ones on the front, because that's why I get full sun. Is there a program, because I've had estimates, and the last champions, and well, first of all, these ads pop up saying free windows, free window replacement.
Right.
So I was suckered into that, so I had one company to come out, and it's champions. I just wanted the windows on the front of my home. They want $22,000, but I said after the buy two, get two free, it took it down to $10,000. That's just for 7 windows. So is there a program, or does Habitat offer any program for us over 65 years old to get window replacements?
So yes.
Government funded?
Yes, so the program itself allows up to, I believe it's around $20,000 of repairs. What they will do, and what we will do, the home preservation program will come to your house, do an audit of the house itself, and they will then prioritize what needs to happen. So for example, there's no need in putting windows in if the roof is collapsing. So we try to prioritize that $20,000 to make sure that that home is going to be safe, dry, and accessible. But to answer your question, yes, we do windows, and I would say probably a good amount of our houses we do windows. It's part of our program. Yeah, we do get a grant. I think the major grant is from Home Depot.
Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
that's correct. It
Okay.
is a forgivable loan. So
Okay.
this is a
A
5
forgivable loan.
Yeah, so it's a 5-year loan. And the reason why it's 5-year loan is because we don't want somebody to get these repairs and then flip the house. And so we're trying to protect your investment and our investment, quite frankly. So, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's right. That's exactly right. And we put a lien on the house, but then that is forgiven after 5 years. And that program's been going for about 7, 8 years, and it's a great program.
And it's $25,000 typically for exterior repairs, and interior is usually 22, 25.
Yep. And then our program comes after that and then does the painting and the power washing on the exterior.
I just want to say, okay, so Reed and other colleagues from Habitat, we don't know who yet, but we've been in conversation with Tia.
Oh,
regarding
yeah,
this.
great.
So the event I was telling you about earlier, the date of that is going to be, and LaDonna's here, and she, hold on one second, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. So the date of that is going to be Wednesday, September the 9th, from 1 to 5 p.m. And the idea is Habitat for Humanity and its various programs, as well as GFA, Georgia Energy Finance Authority, and its various programs, in addition to an individual that will assist anyone who's here in making application to those programs. You'll be able to do it on that day, and/or you will be able to follow up with the individual who will be assisting you with the application, right? Because the programs are very similar, so you'll be hearing both perspectives. You may qualify for one or both, either or both of those programs. So that's why we wanted to do it side by side, so that you can maximize the dollars that are available to you. And depending on your situation, why, if you want to do the 5-year forgivable loan, you may or may not want to do that. And I've heard great things about it. So I consider that as well. But then the dollars that come from GFA, those are federal dollars that have come in, and those are time limited. Okay, so depending on, and there are 2 programs under that you may qualify to be able to get access to some of the same things that Reed's talking about. Okay, so stay tuned for that. We will be getting flyer together, program together, but the whole idea is to educate you as well as allow you to make application. Okay?
Yeah, and we'll definitely, Trez, if you don't mind getting those flyers for them so that we can distribute that. So on your way out, we'll go ahead and give you a flyer for the repair and the brush program. No. I don't think so. I think it's really a needs base. That's a good question. But it's a great program, and both our programs have been around going on about a decade, and we work in tandem to make that happen, yeah.
I had a question on the water. I get mail all the time from American Resource.
Okay.
Is that a marketing for the water coming, water line? It's a company. That's, okay, that's,
I'm not. I'm got to learn.
Yeah, it's actually legitimate, and it's an insurance program. So remember the video Reed showed you? On one side is the cities, and on the other side is your responsibility, right? So if it's on your side and your responsibility, then you've got to pay the cost of, and if you have an issue on that side, that is extremely expensive. So American Works is an insurance program for you to explore. And it's what, like $1.09, how much?
It's less than, I think, $45 a year.
$45 a year. So over 12 months,
that.
that's very minute, okay? Yes.
So would that fix something?
Yeah.
Would that fix something that's on your side of the water line?
It would. And then there are variations of the program as well, fixing any leaks, say, from the street to your house, and then as well as fixing things in your house or around your house. I don't know all the nuances there, but that's something to research and explore. Are you familiar with it? Yes. Uh-huh.
I got the water resources, came through Fairburn, and I got it. And so I started having leak, which my water bill kept going up. I said, what's going on? If my toilet was running. So when I went and bought the things that I need, I took it to the water company. She said, well, you don't pay for the water, I can't take it, but I can take it from the sewer. And so they reimbursed me for that, so they did
And
that.
that's a different one, as well.
Okay.
Water sewer line.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So
Yeah.
there are various programs, and we will do communications on what the city of Fairburn, provides and what that program is. But I would encourage everyone to take advantage of that.
This is added to your utility bill, right?
Only if you choose to, yes, you can opt out.
And generally speaking, to fix something like that, they have to get a backloader and they have to excavate that, and it is significant cost. It's $10,000 to $15,000. They're going to tear up your front lawn usually, and it's probably the largest plumbing cost. So I don't know if it's $45 a year. I don't know if the city of Atlanta has that, but yeah, that's great. Wow, yeah, do that.
Okay, so but yours is different than what she's talking about. Because yours addresses inside. Yours, right,
Wow.
and just outside.
Right, well, that's great.
I'm sorry. Okay, I think I talked loud enough. Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
Yeah, Mayor, I think you may have already answered this, but that deduction that comes out on our utility bills for I thought it was mandatory for water, is already coming out. What does that cover?
Deduction?
Yeah, we paying $2 or $3 or something every month. I know I talked to Mr. Martin.
Okay, all right, well, that's why I'm asking our communications director to develop a communication to explain all of that. Because I think may know what you're talking about, but I'm not sure, so I don't want to say. But we will definitely have communications about that, okay? And this is something we should be doing on a periodic basis anyway, just to keep us abreast of what's going on with our bills. Because just like everything else, utilities are going up as well. And if we've got a leak, in fact, I just discovered a leak myself in the toilet in the basement, right? I rarely use it down there, and it was creating a major problem, but I caught it in time, so I was thankful for that. Yes, you have a question?
I just wanted to address the issue that she was talking about. I see that, I didn't even know that $2.35, whatever that charge is for the water insurance, I didn't even realize it was on there. But recently, I did have a leak that I had to have repaired. My electric bill is usually around $200 or between $200 and $300 during the summer, and it went up to like $6 or $7, something like that. And I'm going, why is it so high? So I did have a leak in my bathroom, the toilet and everything. I had all that repaired. I sent it to the insurance company after I talked to the utilities department about it, and they made me aware of the insurance. And I filed my claim, and they ended up paying over half of that bill for me.
Okay, so that may be it, because I think what we did, it was automatically added, but you had a choice to opt out if you did not want to participate in the program.
And in the process, I did find out that I think it said it covers up to $2,500 of your bill or something like that. So it's a really good deal, I think. You know, it came. I mean, I was so happy to know that.
It really is. But we will be sending out communications on that. And actually, it was just earlier this year, I believe, that our utility director, subdirector came and spoke before council, actually explaining the program. But this is a good time to just refresh our memories on that. So thank you for asking about that. Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, and I'm going to give it over to Ms. Howe, but I personally want to thank all of you for coming out today. This is what we're trying to do, is to really do a lot more educating about the power that we have ourselves, right? I know we pay our taxes and we expect a lot of things from the city government, but I tell you, we can't do it all. You know, but we have to work together. We have to do our part as a homeowner and a citizen of the city, and we are trying to do our part as the government. But we've got to work together in order to do this, right? And so the more we know, the more you can know, and we can make this happen. So again, thank you, and look forward to seeing you on the, what did I say, not the 9th, it's September, but we will be getting out flyers and information about that. So get prepared, but in the meantime, learn what you can about what Habitat does, and that will put you in a better position to ask additional questions when they are back, okay? All right, thank you.
Thank you all. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and thank you for coming.
And then I just want to say thanks again to Ms. Howell and Code Enforcement for taking this idea and run with it. Thank you.